Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel Nursing with Sylvia, and in today's session we are going to be looking into the brief anatomy of the heart, and I would advise you sit and watch and make sure you benefit from this. Okay guys, so we'll be looking at the structure here, which is obviously the heart. We'll be looking at the definition of the heart, we'll be looking at the location, we'll be looking at the layers, the valves, and we'll be looking at the pattern of blood flow from the heart, how this blood pumps and how it goes into the system. We'll also be looking at the functions of the heart and everything that pertains to the heart. So let's dive into it. Okay, so we'll define the heart. So the heart is a wholly muscular organ. What I mean by muscular is the heart is made up of muscles that helps in contraction and relaxation of the heart. So it's a wholly muscular organ, and it's about the size of the owner's fist. What do I mean by that? If you fist your hand like this, the heart is about the size of the owner's fist. So let's just say my heart is about this size. Yes, so it also has a shape similar to that of a pine cone. The heart is usually broad at the top and tapers down towards the base. Now what do I mean by this? Look at this heart here. This is the top, it's broad and it tapers down. What do I mean by tapers? It diminishes, it reduces towards the base. Okay, so that's it for the definition of the heart, and now we'll be going into the location of the heart. The heart is located within the thoracic cavity, medially between the lungs. That's in between the lungs. That's where the heart stays, in the mediastinum. And also the heart is more to the left than to the right. What do I mean by that? So let's look at something like this. The heart is more to the, okay, let's look at this. The heart is more to the left than to the right. It's more to the left than to the right. So the heart is here, like for example my heart is here, more to the left than to the right. Yeah. The heart is composed of three layers, which is the pericardium, the myocardium, and the endocardium. Now from the word peri, you should know we're talking about outer lining. So the pericardium is like the outer lining of the heart. It helps in protecting the heart. It helps in preventing the heart from expanding. Imagine a situation where, and it controls the amount of blood that comes into the heart. So imagine a situation where blood keeps pumping into the heart without any control. That means the heart is most likely to expand. So that's the function of the pericardium. Then we also have the myocardium. From the word myo, you should know we're talking about muscles. Now these muscles are specifically for the heart. They're specifically found in the heart. That's the myocardium. So these muscles help in contraction and relaxation of the heart. They help to make the heart contract and relax, thereby pumping blood in and out of the heart. Then the next one is the endocardium. From the word endo, you should know we're talking about inside of the heart. It forms the lining of the myocardium and the heart valve. It's a thin smooth membrane that helps in the smooth flow of blood into the heart. Okay, so we'll be looking at the four chambers of the heart. We have the left atrium, the left ventricle, the right atrium, and the right ventricle. So this is the heart. This is the right atrium, the right ventricle, the left atrium, and the left ventricle. Now, the upper part of this, that's the upper chamber. That's the left atrium and the right atrium. They act as a receiving chamber and they contract to push blood to the lower chamber. The lower chamber, that's the right ventricle and the left ventricle, they serve as a primary pumping chambers of the heart, and they help in propelling blood into the lungs or other parts of the body. We'll be looking at the valves of the heart. There are basically four valves of the heart, which is the tricuspid valve, we have the pulmonary valve, we also have the mitral valve and the aortic valve. Now this valve is very important because it helps to prevent the backflow of blood in each of their various locations. What do I mean by that? Now let's look at where these valves are located. We start from the right atrium. So from the right atrium, blood passes from the right atrium to the right ventricle, and the valve in between them, called the tricuspid valve, helps in preventing the backflow of blood. That means it helps in preventing the blood that has been pumped into the right ventricle to not to go back into the right atrium. Then when blood has been pumped into this right ventricle, blood then moves from the right ventricle to the pulmonary artery. This blood in here, the pulmonary artery. Now the valve in between them that helps in preventing the backflow of blood from the pulmonary artery to the right ventricle is called the pulmonary valve. The valve helps in preventing the backflow of blood from the pulmonary artery back into the right ventricle, because normally the blood is supposed to go this way, from the right ventricle to this, and not this way. So now we look at the left atrium. So from the left atrium, that blood comes in from the left atrium to the left ventricle, and the valve here that prevents blood from going backwards is called the mitral valve. It helps the so it helps to prevent the backward flow of blood into the right atrium. Then the next is the aorta. The valve between the aorta and the right ventricle is called the aortic valve, and as we all know, helps to prevent blood that has gone to the aorta to returning back into the left ventricle. So those are the 4 valves of the heart. We said is the tricuspid valve, the pulmonary valve, the mitral valve, and the aortic valve. The heart is divided into the left and the right by a tissue called the septum. The septum divides the heart into the left and the right. That's where we get the right ventricle, left ventricle, right atrium, and left atrium from. That was because there is a division caused by the septum. Septum divides the heart into left and right. We are moving into the most interesting parts of this topic. The heart pumps blood into anatomically separate systems of blood vessels, and these systems are the pulmonary circulation and the systemic circulation. We'll be looking into these 2 types of circulation, and that is how you will know the whole process of blood flow in the body. So pulmonary circulation just has to do with the transportation of blood to the lungs, where the blood goes to receive oxygen that's to be oxygenated, and CO2 is being removed or excreted through exhalation. Now that's the whole that's the whole idea behind the pulmonary circulation. That's sending the blood to receive oxygen and to excrete carbon dioxide, and then sending it for systemic circulation, where the oxygenated blood is now sent to be distributed to all parts of the body and tissues. So you see where the pulmonary circulation comes in and where systemic circulation comes in. Systemic circulation has to do more with distribution, while pulmonary circulation has to do with oxygenation. The oxygen is being absorbed and then sent for systemic circulation, where it's being distributed. So you see how it is. So imagine in a scenario where there is nothing like pulmonary circulation. That means we would have died of hypoxia, meaning that our tissues and cells in our body would have given up because there is no oxygen to carry out their work. They would have given up and they would have lost their functions and all that, and eventually it will lead to death. So in a scenario where there is no there is no oxygen and we are just breathing in carbon dioxide, there is no flow of oxygen, the tissue gets exhausted and eventually dies off. We suffer from hypoxia. Now we'll be looking at how blood actually flows from the body into the heart and back into the system. Now we'll be looking at this and I'll be explaining that process with this model here. Now blood enters the heart through the inferior and through the superior and the inferior vena cava. Now the blood comes in, the blood in the lower extremities comes in through the inferior, while from the upper side of the body comes in through the superior. Now when this blood enters here, now the blood entering here is not just a normal blood, it is a deoxygenated blood. This blood now is sent for oxygenation. It enters into the right atrium. From the right atrium it moves to the right ventricle, and I've already said the valve here that prevents the backflow of blood, and we said is the tricuspid valve. So from the right ventricle it moves to the what? Pulmonary artery. Then the valve in between the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery is the what? Pulmonary valve. And from the right ventricle it goes to the pulmonary artery, and from the pulmonary artery this blood is sent to the lungs for oxygenation. What do I mean by oxygenation? Oxygen is being absorbed, carbon dioxide is being excreted. And how do we excrete it? We excrete it through exhalation. When you breathe out, you breathe in oxygen, you breathe out carbon dioxide. So that's the way the body used to like balance pulmonary circulation. So the carbon dioxide is excreted and we excrete it through exhalation, while the oxygen is being absorbed into the blood. Also, before I forget, let's not forget that the pulmonary artery is the only artery in the body that carries deoxygenated blood. Please don't forget that it's the only artery in the body. It can come out as an MCQ question. It's the only artery in the body that carries deoxygenated blood. Now when this oxygen is being absorbed in the blood, what happened next? So what happened next is this: the pulmonary veins, that after which the blood has been oxygenated, the pulmonary veins carries the blood back to the left atrium, and from the left atrium the blood moves to the left ventricle. The valve that's between the left atrium and the left ventricle is called the mitral valve, and it prevents the backflow of blood. We've already discussed that. And from the blood moves from the left atrium to the left ventricle to the aorta, and we said that the valve that prevents the backflow of blood from the aorta to the left ventricle is the aortic valve. And when the blood gets to now this blood is oxygenated, let's not forget that this blood already have oxygen, so we are sending it for, the blood is going for systemic circulation, no longer pulmonary circulation. So the blood moves to the aorta where distribution takes place, sends it to different parts of the body, the tissues and organs where oxygen is needed for them to carry out their function. So this is just all about blood circulation. It involves the pulmonary and the systemic circulation. Please let's not forget that, and we've already covered what the two of them is all about. Okay, so we'll be looking into the functions of the heart. If you were attentive in this video, you will observe that I have stated almost all the functions of the heart, but I will just say them again for us to have something to write down. Now the function of the heart is, I'll give three basic functions of the heart. The first is obviously to pump blood. The heart helps to pump blood. The second one is oxygenation. The heart helps in the absorption of oxygen and distribution of this oxygen to various tissues and organs. The next is excretion. The heart helps to excrete carbon dioxide from the body. If the heart don't excrete this carbon dioxide, like I said earlier, we could suffer from hypoxia. And these are like the three basic functions of the heart, and I believe you understood something. We won't be looking at the diseases of the heart today, reason being that the disease of the heart are about like 20 if not more. So I wouldn't want to bore you guys with very long videos, so I'm going to leave it here, and I'll make a separate video on the disease of the heart, so anticipate the video. And also watch out for the MCQ questions on this topic. I can't give a lecture, I won't drop MCQ because I want to know how productive the video was. So guys, watch out for the MCQ questions, and please like and subscribe to this channel for more educative videos. See you all in the next video. Bye.